Let's get the next question here, guys, from at junior_08. Brock Purdy, first full season as a starting QB. Where does he rank in fantasy QBs? So this, interestingly enough, we actually spoke about this off camera a few days ago, and Raj brought it to my attention that he did, in fact, finish sixth last year and the year before as well. Um, Look, I think Brock Purdy in that offense is always going to have potential to be great in a top 10 fantasy QB, even look pushing towards the top five. One thing that we have to remember, though, when going and drafting Brock Purdy is that you had, a guy like Anthony Richardson who wasn't there most of the year. You have um, Burrow who wasn't there much of the year. You had Lamar Jackson who had an off year fantasy wise. So these are like all factors that may push him towards the end of the top 10, but I think realistically you should feel confident drafting Brock Purdy as your QB1, definitely top 10 guy. And look, he does stay healthy, right? I think that gives you bonus points as well.
Yeah, so I gave that stat. So I think just to clarify, 365 fantasy points in 2023. That was sixth. That number would have also placed him sixth in
Oh, the year
2020.
prior. Right,
Yeah,
right,
he had like, I think that was the year he had like the shortened season.
right.
Um, for me, I think it's a low risk, high reward. It's funny though. ESPN Yahoo combined EDP has Purdy 13th. I can't believe this. They have him below guys like Anthony Richardson, Justin Fields, Dak Prescott, Jordan Love, and Kyler Murray.
Justin Fields.
Yeah,
Even
Justin
Justin
Fields.
Fields, I don't get it.
That's weird.
Like this year?
Yeah, this year, yeah,
Yeah,
nuts.
that
And if
must
you think
be.
if you think about it, like, so the way I looked at this question was like, what are the differentiators for me when I think of like a QB? Let me take a step back. For me, when I'm drafting QB, it's all about how do I reduce risk and how do I make sure that I don't have to stress about it. Because I had like Goff and Derek Carr last year. Goff was pretty good, but Carr was super stressful, right?
You won a
So like
floor.
Yeah.
exactly. So and for me, that's how good are you on third downs? How good are you in the red zone? And how good are you under pressure? Third downs, the Niners had the least amount of third down attempts. And on second down, Purdy had a 124 QB rating, 8.4 yards per attempt, 70% completion. Red zone, 109 QB rating, 19 TDs, 2 picks. That's like best in the league. Under pressure, 1,500 yards, 11 TDs, 7 INTs, 53% completion. That's like Mahomes level. So like the concept of him being a game manager when he also had the most completed air yards in the league last year is like it's ridiculous. I think that needs to go away. He's an elite QB right now, elite fantasy QB right now. I wouldn't take him over the Burrows. I wouldn't take him over Jordan Love either, CJ Stroud. But from a fantasy perspective, you could do. I'm not even gonna say you could do worse. He is a QB1 without a doubt. The only risks, and I'll end with that, is what happens with Ayuk, and do we see some regression with CMC? Like, is CMC going to get potentially injured? Like, we know how he is with heavy workloads. He had a massive workload last year. Do they reduce that? Does that impact Purdy a bit? But otherwise, super low risk, as you said, Knack.
Yeah, no, I agree. He's definitely low risk, definitely high return. You love the fact that he's in that offense. And I know that a lot of people have been referring to him as a game manager, but quite frankly, that term to me doesn't really mean anything. When you're managing the San Francisco 49ers game, like good, I want him to be a game manager because they run that offense very well and very effective. The Ayuk thing does bother me, but Raj, you numbered off a few quarterbacks over there that I wouldn't have an issue maybe taking before Purdy. Like I'm just looking at the rankings too now. Like Jordan Love is surging. Kyler Murray is back and going to have a full slate of games ahead of him. Plus, you would assume also he's going to have Marvin Harrison Jr. as well to throw
Potentially,
to,
yeah.
which is
you're
going to be huge. Um,
you're assuming a full slate of games. Sorry to control.
Listen, but fantasy, we're talking about elite. We're talking about fantasy quarterbacks, QB1, Kyler Murray, Brock Purdy. Like you can make the argument for either one or the other. It's a bit of a coin toss in my opinion, but I think Kyler Murray might have a higher upside, whereas Brock Purdy has a higher floor. So it depends on, I guess, where your risk lies and how high do you need to hit a home
But
run or not.
Fab,
The injury prone
what do you
I'm
always
not.
aspect,
tell
I'm
right?
it?
not
What do you always tell us, Fab? The best ability is
availability, and I know, but I can't play both sides of my own argument. I agree. If I'm drafting
no.
tomorrow, I am taking Brock Purdy over Kyler Murray. I am taking Brock Purdy over Kyler Murray because I want my quarterback to start all 16 games, 100%.
There's
However, Kyler,
17 games.
that's what I meant.